Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Is that a bullet flying around a weird direction? Is that a pan floating around in the air? No, that's Ghost Gaming becoming the poltergeist here in the Mercedes-Benz Arena, and they're able to take the first chicken dinner of the tournament. What a win coming out from them, and we have so much to break down here at the desk. It's unfathomable. I wrote so much down. I was so excited to be able to get into our first game. Gentlemen, joining me on the desk once again, we have Boogie and we have Avenger. We have to start at the very beginning, though. We can talk a lot about Ghost in a moment, because what we saw was some drops that we weren't really expecting coming out, right, Boogie?
Yeah, absolutely. There were some massive surprises. Of course, the very pure area remaining absolutely unlooted to teams that have chosen not to go there, and they actually met up in Severny or close by in the quarters as well. That was very surprising, but it was a very, very welcomed as well kind of changed for Navi, of course, in particular.
I mean, as you said, we expected some changes coming up. There were some open places. Germany was one of them. Two teams coming into that, of course. But again, the plane was also somewhat rough. We saw very southwestern area, and the northeastern area was very open because of the plane path, which is usual. But obviously, having the southwestern area that open, now we could just transition because the therapy was that easily open. So they had an easy rotation for the later stages of the game.
That's right. Of course, we were with Refon going to Severny, and we had AHQ also stopping around there, but then eventually going to shooting range. Beyond that, though, Honey Badger Nation heading over towards farm area, where we normally would see them being down towards Novo. Clearly, they felt like there was going to be a bit of a nervous moment going up against a team like Gold up there, down there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They had the drop against any kind of other team that went into that area. Actually, 4 AM decided to completely ditch the situation and go into the military base, where they were actually kept in, or they welcomed rather by Gold with that mini no scope, of course, which was made the transition a bit easier. But 4 AM got really in a difficult spot. Them coming in this late into the game, particularly not being able to go to their looting position and having a harder transition back into the circle. That's the highlight of the game for me. 4 AM have really shown to me that they know what TPP is about.
I want to talk about some of the teams that came late to the circle, and they did have a little bit of problems because of it. It felt like we had WTSG, we had Black, which we can actually talk about in terms of their drop location in a moment, and then we also had Navi coming in quite late as well. None of these teams really were able to make a kind of higher run through this game number one, of course. What do you make of them coming in late and that dynamic in this 20-team meta?
I mean, especially in this area here, when you have this small multi-power area and the multi-power area, it's so hard to get in there. So you want to come in on the eastern side. You want to be in the eastern side of the circle. And also, we saw in the third circle a huge amount of water. So they knew, of course, fourth circle is going to push away from water. So a lot of teams were edging. But then again, you have to remember, you have a huge road in the middle, which basically separates everything because you can't cross it on foot. You're going to be absolutely teared apart because there's more than 15 teams alive in the fourth circle.
And of course, there was that conflict that we kind of anticipated going on in South George between Black and WTSG. However, we saw a very interesting drop pattern, I think especially from Black coming in initially.
Absolutely. So the south of Georgia Bowl itself was left alone for WTSG to actually loot, whilst Black actually decided to do a 2+2 split in the docks and then the hospital area. That kind of made things a bit harder for WTSG because their pathing then became much more difficult as their rotation into the circle would have been gatekept by anybody. Should they have chosen to go north, they would have met with the Vanguard. Should they have chosen to go east, they would have met with 2 guys from from Black, and south as well from the same team. So whilst it made their pathing more difficult, they did know how to approach this situation and go past the mountain, avoid the 2+2 split, and actually they made their way first into the circle. However, Gold, Black, we have to see this. They had bad loot going into the game, and you saw them load very late into the circle. They were actually almost caught by the loot.
I mean, even though that Welcome to South George did have an early rotation, they kind of still suffered from it because they had to leave early. They didn't have that good loot. And then again, they edged on the western side. You see an eastern side circle, if you're early, you want to go on the other side. You want to be in the eastern side because you know that everybody, when you have a map, you have the circle, everybody's going to be pushing in from the east. They're going to be pushing in. So the amount of pressure on the western side of the circle is going to be so much larger. So if you go early, you want to make sure you make your way through and come and stay on the eastern side.
Yeah, there's so much that we could talk about, but I want to get down to some of the smaller circles because we saw it starting to filter on mini mill to power. And Team Liquid for a long time throughout that had a phenomenal position of anger. why did I do Avenger? I can't believe I did that. That's the first time I've done it in a broadcast. I can't believe. Anyway, regardless, they had a phenomenal position that they were able to hold for a long time, and then of course OMG decided to turn up and boot them out. But overall, that was a great spot for them to take and a great dynamic that they had available there.
In the third circle, they were in a great spot in the southwestern corner of the big Milta Power area. And then as soon as they saw the next circle, they decided to crash on the small Milta Power area and take that because there's even more center. And they did that very early, which put them in a great position. The problem for them, though, they stayed in that corner. They didn't open up too much. They didn't defend their backside. So they effectively just could have one smoke in them, and then they were closed in, and everybody could just surge from them. Right. Of course, there was also a huge cluster in that area because everything was kind of shifting away from them, so they couldn't do anything else than just wait. So they just got pinched between circle movement and also other teams wanting to make their way into that position.
Yeah. It does seem like they got a bit tunnel vision into that situation, as you called it. They were looking to their north in particular because they had easy picks for people coming down from across the mountain into Lumbermill. From Lumbermill away. But doing that, they're going to ignore their backside there. And of course, 4AM were able to push quite close to them and decimate them absolutely. And Savage before that as well. So that kind of shows you tunnel visioning is a very, very important factor. Even in TPP, where you have not much more information to go through, seeing so much more of your environment without having to peek. But still, you have to keep your 360 covered. Samty even on top of the actual sandbox that he was in, just peeking into north, hard peak, nobody contesting him. So they probably thought, okay, south might be clear. That's probably what got them so confident.
I think, you know, when we see Team Liquid come into a tournament, we see them show up big in a day #1, and they had to have felt pretty confident there. But as we saw, OMG was able to crash that party very effectively, and we saw a lot of movement going on around that mini Milta Power area as such a focal point. Two teams that had a bit of a rough and tumble around the south of that were Myth made in Thailand as well as Navi, trading back and forth in there in quite the skirmish.
I mean, huge skirmish, good nades coming out. But what Navi did as well, they left a player behind to kind of clean up and make sure they had the flank position so they can have an angle on them. But they did huge, like Myth did some insane pushes. Yeah. Third person pushes you wouldn't expect, coming over and actually taking him down. But Iba, fantastic push, coming in, saving his teammate and taking out Myth in a, I think, outside top 15 position for them. So that was terrible for Myth, but insane play by Iba.
Yeah, absolutely good. Iba is the uttermost clutch player that you will ever find.
Absolutely.
Really, really good at these situations. You will be strong.
And here are the rankings at the moment.
There we go.
Ghost Gaming leads the pack with 680 points, 12 kills to their name, as well as the 500 points that they get from that first place. For Angry Men, we saw them in the Chinese region doing very well in TPP. They did not disappoint here to start things off. Some of the names down here towards the 11th through 20th spot, though. What kind of jumps out to you as a surprise from that first round?
WTSG, I suppose, is the biggest surprise here. With them losing Larson early on into the game, Larson was actually able, whenever he dies, he will step back and IGL the team, conduct the team a bit more efficiently. So actually, it's not that great of a loss. Even if he's an insane fragger, he's able to let them know where to go to. Unfortunately, of course, when they went to Big Milta, they ran into big trouble as well.
Right.
So that was Miracle left alone, and then he died soon thereafter. So WTSG, I think, is the biggest surprise.
And the team, obviously, that cleaned up Navi eventually was Ghost Gaming, the winners of that first game. And I gotta say, especially when it came to some of those later circles, it looked absolute foolproof. Even towards the end, when McCoy was able to take that pylon position, it secured themselves a great linchpin in those final circles.
I mean, they put themselves in a position. As soon as they saw the next circle pop, they had the western side open to them, and they just put themselves in a position to gatekeep, have flanks, make sure that they can hold everything down. And they haven't forgot how to play TPP. You can see how perfectly that Profi loves TPP. I mean, he played fantastically, 7 kills to his name.
And what's important is, as well, is Ghost Gaming, throughout the qualifying run, did not play with this roster. Yeah. They arguably played with an all-star roster, 2 players filling in from Envious to actually get them here. And they still finished second with a roster that they only had 2 practice matches with before that tournament happened. So they've got to feel very confident and comfortable now with their full roster on the stage.
Absolutely. This indeed secures their confidence going forward. This is a massive step for them, just to make sure that they're telling the whole wide world that Ghost Gaming are indeed unbroken. Whatever they play with, they still play smart. They still have top fraggers in their roster. They will be going out strong.
What were some of the big things that you took away from our first game here, Avenger? Because obviously we don't get to see too much of our Western world play on TPP. What did you take away from it?
I feel like that you could really see that Asia, they actually play TPP still. You can see that some of the strong Western teams, you know, the European and the North American teams, not taking Ghost in mind, but they also had a position early. They took it, they hold it, and they sweep out. But the other teams, they struggled. You could see how well that 4AM played. You could see how well all the other Asian teams played in TPP because they're used to it. They know the places. They know the small dips and divots. They can easily play that and know how to approach the next surface.
Right, and we've got a lot of Chinese representation here, not only on the stage, but also in the crowd as well, cheering for teams like OMG, 4 Angry Men as well. And these are teams that finished not only 5th, but also 3rd, getting themselves 6 kills on OMG's side. We have 9 kills coming out from 4 Angry Men. And guys, we are ready to go into game number 2. Are you ready, Berlin? Let's do it. Let's head over to the commentary team for game number 2.
That it has been a great show so far. I think we've seen so many incredible things in just game 1, let alone what the analysis was saying. There's so much more to be seen here. I think they're bringing up some incredible points about these teams that we need to keep our eyes on. Do you think Ghost can replicate this sort of form now going forward? Game 1 was certainly a statement piece.
I honestly do, and I think to touch on more what Avenger said, this gives you, Boogie said, this gives you the confidence. All right, this team was coming into this, they knew they could do well. I mean, this is a team that was obviously thrown together, and when it was thrown together for the PGI 100K, that was the first event they've ever attended as a team. And they won it, and they just won it. They just won it, as simple as that. When we look towards GLL, for example, day number 1 in GLL, I think they were down in 16th place. They had a terrible day number 1. I think they then ended 3rd or 4th. They just had an they smashed it. They completely smashed it. This is a team that is land proven and can get the job done. This just solidifies that from their mind kind of thought of, all right, we didn't qualify this with this roster, and it's also hidden ground in the form that it's not first person.
Got to say as well, I think this is a rude awakening to any EU NA team. The aggression coming out from the Chinese teams here is unparalleled. I think I was surprised. And I mean, that wasn't just 4AM, I'm talking actually any other region. It looks like the CIS region, NA and EU, what we more normally see, which is more normally within our wheelhouse, is playing to the standard we expect. But every other region is proving points here. And we saw that mini Milter, that hit that came in, that was vicious. That was next to unbearable to watch almost, with the amount of veracity they came out with that. It was OMG coming into it, it was 4AM, and 4AM did walk away in the end being a little bit better off. They had to then get through Ghost, who of course, as you now know, did win out. But before then, their aggression, their kind of confidence in play, I was thoroughly impressed.
Look, it's Battle Royale, it's game 1, anything goes, anything can happen. Now people have a general idea of where potentially teams will be going, because now they've found a home position, so to speak. 9 times out of 10, they'll stick to that. They like to glue to it and keep to the same place. So we potentially could see that going forward, and that might give other teams an idea, okay, when we're traversing around the map, when we're rotating, we need to be aware of these crisscross patterns.
I think that's going to be a huge thing. I'm wondering how much homework they can take away from that first game. Not much time in between. This is Battlegrounds. I mean, you're just thrown right back into it. You don't get to sit there and kind of mull through, oh, what went wrong. You're not sitting on Discord with your friends going, Jerry's done it again. He's off looting on his own. You can't do that. You can't have that sort of, reflection time. You've got to just get right back on the horse and back at it. So we're going to have to see if they can make adjustments on the fly. We saw it, I've got to say as well, WTSG, even though their positioning in the end wasn't phenomenal, the issues they had, I think it was around shelter-ish area. They tried to find that nice defilade. They lost that one man there. They recovered it and they pushed themselves later game. That's some good resilience from them, and I need to see more of that from some of these teams.
Let's talk about that one then a little bit more. When we look at something like 4AM, for example, the commitment to those pushes, it was everything. Boys, don't stop. We're going in. We know what we're doing as a team. Maybe something like WTSG, you could see there was a bit of a split. There was people
hesitation.
Exactly. Bailing behind a tree, trying to stay alive behind a car. It's like, well, we want to kill them, but we don't want to be killed by them. Do we carry on? And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, bam, bam. And as you say, to get out of it with 3 alive and only lose Larson, it was good, but 16th place is not when there's only 7 more games left.
Nope. You thought after the way they recovered in that situation, they could have carried it forward. Wasn't the case. But for me, I've got to say, I think what you said there also comes down to very good in-game leadership. You have to have one voice that does eventually kind of call the line. And I think some of these teams don't quite have that defined yet. You'll have kind of a lot of voices going on in the team, and you don't have that kind of bottom line caller who goes, all right, we're committing, and you fully commit. You have to have that big voice who kind of overarcs a lot, and whether it goes right or wrong, you have to stand by their decisions. And I think we're seeing that in some teams, and not in others, and that could be their hindrance going forward. But again, that's only game 1. We've seen stranger things happen. We've seen a lot of things change from game 1 to game 2 to day 1 to day 2, let alone going forward. And I can see the timer is starting to tick down, so you guys at home, you know what's happening. You know what's coming up soon. We've got about 30 seconds till we take this, guys. Rich, what are your takeaways from game 1? What are we looking for in game 2?
I think we need to see the 3 Asian teams, not China, Japan, need to step up. We see, I think it's all 3 of them, Myth, AHQ, and the third one, they're all down in that bottom 15. That's not good. They need to move up there. TG from North America, 17th place, another poor performance. The main one for me, the CIS boys. Both CIS teams are down below 10th place. It was a rough game for them, a rough start. They need to bounce back.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is almost time. The teams are almost ready. We'll be jumping into this one in just a second's time. Everything is still on the line. The first game is etched into the back of their minds and into history here. It's time. All those late nights, all the doubts, all the thousands of hours they've been pouring in lead up to these games, and now we're underway. Richard, we're going to go for a very different approach here. It's south to north. It's the long old southeast to northwest.
It's complete polar opposite to what was previous one. It came in from Zaki, ended Milter. Now it's starting Milter. It's ending Zaki. So, in theory, everyone can do the same as before. Everyone go to their own spots. You'll potentially see Na'Vi arriving late to Primorsk. You'll see Liquid going up to Yasnaya. You'll see Savage over at Milter Power. Gold, Novo, 4AM, Elite Base. Now, this is something we need to really quickly touch on when we look at 4AM. Sometimes you see teams getting a bit caught off guard, making their way from Millibase, for example.
Yes.
You got to remember how kind of compound that circle was. To get alive with 4 men through it, it's pretty decent.
Now, again, though, this is slightly different in the aspect of the way 4AM are approaching this. Last time around, they didn't have this sort of route here. They got almost caught off by Gold on the bridge. That could have been the first kill, but they survived. They survived well. Let's have a look at what Ghost are up to. This was the team, of course, to win round 1. Now, they're off here starting this one out. So they're over in Pachinki. That became available when the likes of Method and some of the other teams who do frequent that area are no longer around. And that's a very different circle. That brings a smile to my face, and oh no, Mossy, run boy run, they're after you, this is terrible. He's back up arrived, but it's too little too late. He's been mowed down, taken out, and Made in Thailand have done something terrible.
Oh, double teaming with the car. I mean, I respect it. It's
gotta hurt.
Just been, one of you knock him over, other one finish him. Fair play to him. 15 points in the bag straight off the bat, just like that. Talking a little bit further about Ghost Gaming. Obviously, we've seen them play very different places. We've seen them try and take around Prim. They can't take Prim now. Na'Vi's here. We've seen them also sit before down in Milter when Vitality weren't there. Now they realize, okay, they've got an analyst, they've got a coach in the back lines. Boys, Pachinki's free. Let's push in, let's take it. They've done that. This is what you want to see from teams who do their homework, who know where their opponents are going to be, who know what spaces and what things are available. We can only do so much homework. Example, Severny.
Severny was meant to be free.
I would not have expected anyone. You don't have Dignitas in there. You don't have Alliance in there. You don't have these teams that we're used to. And this speaks volumes about this event. It being a global event.
Exactly.
We can look so much and try and read into everything as much as possible, but only on game day and Battle Royale, it is what it is.
It can all change. That's the thing. If teams come into this and they practice a certain way, if they did a boot camp beforehand, however they wanted to approach it, you can make adjustments. Now, looking at that circle, it does sit with, obviously, the favor towards the western side. Now, classically, if you know the CIS region, plays very well towards Na'Vi. They get a lot of freedom off this. Now, is this what we're going to see here, or is this something that doesn't actually bode well for them because maybe they don't know what they're coming up into? What do we see now being the favorable factor here? Which teams might actually favor from this circle?
I think for me, just to kind of touch a bit more on Na'Vi's point of view, they're amazing players. They're the fraggers. They're incredible. But it's now in the back of the mind that they are down in that bottom 10 of Angers there. Plenty of other ones, and there's only 7 games left. So now you have to play a bit more passive, and you have to be a little bit more careful. We're used to seeing aggression in Europe of, boys, get stuck in. Let's go get a middle compound. Let's chill and let's, approach fights when they approach us and just take them when we have to. Now they have to be a bit more careful, because if they just go steaming into the middle of the map, they could come up against an opponent who's already there, and that'll just cost them yet another life.
Now, I normally complain that Pachinki never gives me good loot, but look at this man right here. He's got a suppressor lined up. He's 2-2'd up. He's feeling it. Obviously, the bag could do a nice little upgrade, but he's having a nice time so far.
Did you just gift him an M24 on the floor there as well? Did he have before we moved switch to POVs?
Didn't actually see that.
I think he might have been a 24 as you were talking about loot.
and to be fair, this is one thing I want us to talk about as well. We saw the DMR meta, the sniper meta. When we say meta as well, I guess it's the flavor of the week. It's the current way the game is favorably played. If you're new to the concept of it, I'm sure you're not. I don't need to explain it to you like your children. But still, the point is that it's very prevalent. We're seeing the SKS is coming back in, the minis. The M24 is doing a lot of work, and I love an M24. That thing sounds gorgeous. SLR's doing what everything is coming back into play. Last time, let's say you guys at home only watch the quote-unquote major tournaments, right? Let's say you watch the bigger tournaments. You catch maybe a couple of games. But last time around, you'd be seeing double ARs. That's not the case anymore. It's way more dependent on that range coming through and those DMRs and those snipers.
So they're in the same bag of why you will see a lot of people using the Uzi. I don't know if you guys at home might have been watching, but in the previous rounds, a lot of people will now opt to use the SMGs simply because of the damage multipliers. It's the same with the DMRs. The damage multiplier now on the head, it's ridiculous. You want the DMRs. You want people running these at range. You want to keep your ARs for close range, and now your SMGs as well. 120% damage on limbs. You can literally just spray like a bad man up close and personal, and you will do so much damage.
See, now, I mean, you say this, right? But every time I get the UMP, I get one kill early game, I'm thinking I'm a god. I'm doing fine. It would somehow happen that I come to that 1v1 and it's 50-50. I mean, like, I can't even blame him for having an advantage, and I'll lose because he just has an AK. Like, there is still obviously a reason to have that AR, and we might be seeing it here. Larson, though, gets a glimpse and dies! Doesn't live up to his name. He stays alive for now, but he's being pinched. Look on the horizon, look on the hillside. It's Miraku. It's not a monster, but he might be doing somewhat of a similar thing, scaring the life out of this man. Cowering in the corner here. His teammates are not nearby, but he gets a punish on Larson. This could be a disaster. Vard, nade out though. Can he survive on this one? Dies now, needs to make his mind up. That nade is going to trickle in. And what? He's somehow alive here. Dies, lives to fight another day. Spots out the player, spins around, can't do it. Vard is there. As WTSG to stay alive.
I think he was saved by the sink. I'm quite impressed by that one. Gold-plated? I don't know. Either way, he's dead. He didn't get out of that one alive. Touch a little bit more on what you mentioned over the UMPs. It's a completely, what you said was perfect. It's still 9mm, and you've still got to be aware. If you're going to go up against somebody, you have to be sure that A, you land every single shot,
yes,
and B, you see them first. If they turn around with 7.62, you're dead.
You're done for, but let's never doubt that, that buggy's had better days, hasn't it? No, it's not great. It's a budget buggy. He's on the move. Oh, no. His
teammate's like, sorry mate, I'm out of here.
I'm off ski. I'll pick you up later. And Winner decided to run and he gets there faster. But yeah, as I said, I think you can't quite doubt the thing. The likes of the Vector, for example, has become such a terrifying gun these days.
Scary.
If you get the extended mag, you know what that thing can do. You get it completely locked out. This is one thing I really like about current PUBG is that everything does have a place to be played. Before you kind of see everyone by default going for certain loadouts because they were the strongest. Now it's like, actually, I really like this gun. I can work with this. I have the good setup for it. Let's run it. But we are seeing the teams now working their way to that first circle, trying to find that first position. And we'll be seeing who's claimed what.
Obviously, there's not a lot of water in play here, so we do have a good amount of land to play with. People can do their own thing. They can chill for a little bit, get a lot of information, creep in slowly. They don't have to play the edge of the circle. They can at least make a good 1,000 meters in. Gatka's quite busy. You've got 3 teams running around. You've got Genji Black on the top of Georgia Ball Hill.
Oh, Knights! How is he alive? How has he run this gauntlet? Oh, the buggy flips! Oh my god, he's no! James puts him out of his misery in the end, but that is one way to go down for Knights.
Hey, Kramer. Down in a ball of flames, quite literally. Speaking of flames, look at that car. What's this? Do they think this is some sort of car show? Just lining them all the...
Do they make them look good at least?
Yeah.
Just polish them.
Yellow, orange, flamey one in the middle. Why not?
Flamey one in the middle. Is that the technical term?
It is technical.
Yeah, flamey one.
Flamey.
We can call it flamey. Any Na'Vi fans out there would be like, oh, flamey.
I recognise that word. Liquid, interesting play from them.
Ooh,
playing
that
up on
position.
the. I mean, obviously it's elevated. You've got line of sight on TG if they're going to be looking outside the apartments, and Look at where Knights are
But
in the middle.
it's not a peak, though. That's the one thing. It plateaus there, right? You get the small kind of huts.
Little weird thing.
But you can be collapsed on. I mean, it's unlikely.
Yep.
Teams might traverse that way, but you tend to not. I mean, obviously in the back of Liquid's minds, they're very aware where teams like to go. I think the desk highlighted earlier the highways, where teams will use those rotation routes that are not just roads. Again, though, it's one of those positions where it may not have the sustain, but we see that Liquid are mobile. They'll hop up on their horse and they're off.
I think talking about individual is something we don't do enough when we look at actual, individual players. Scoom's been playing Armour for God knows how many years.
He's an old man of esports.
He is. He's a very old man of esports, and he knows how to play this game. He knows how to play third person. He knows how to be at least giving the lay of the land. And it's something that a team like Liquid are going to do, like any of these teams should be doing, to be honest with you. It's going back, looking at your POVs, in matchmaking, just driving around and looking at the terrain.
See, the thing as well is, a lot of the time these teams and these players, you get the experienced players who know how to improve, how to work on their skill and their ability. And you're seeing Jeems going for a very early push here, isolating himself from the rest of the team. So, actually, up on the mountain, we could see some more action. Again, this is all very much teetering on the edge. There's a lot of posturing. There's a lot of teams who could potentially fight, but whether they go for it or not is yet to be seen. There'll be a lot of kind of firing at cars, keeping our compound safe. It's not just about giving away position. That is a common factor. You're like, I don't want to give away where I am, but you also don't want teams to be coming towards you. That hillside is looking very dangerous, though. Currently, there's maybe 2, 3 teams, potential of 4, and no safety coming off the back of it either. They're going to have to swing western on that, so keep eyes on that in the back of your minds. But for now, we are seeing the teams just trying to find that safety, that one bit of good ground that they can try and cling on to.
Crest Gaming just chilling and move across to Genji Black. Sexy Pig, the IGL for this team. Very, very, speaking to some of the cast in the back, super, super aggressive individual. Big shot caller for this one. Does some wild and wonderful stuff. Loves a good old frag. His teammates are quite split. He's only got Grammatic behind him on the hillside. The rest of Genji Black in the form of Root and Esther, they're over in the hospital side, but they're quite split.
You speak about veterans, Yoonroot, Sexy Pig, these guys, we've seen them from the very early days, Gamescom.
Yeah.
I mean, you throw your minds back, if you're a veteran of PUBG, you watched it from the very start of things, you'll know who these guys are. You might be going, why do I know that name? And that's why. These guys play a hell of a lot, and they're a very good side. They were very early to it, and they really put up the numbers. Now let's keep our minds focused on this map as well. That next circle that comes in could push a couple of teams out of nice positions. Liquid are still alive, they're still fine. You can see them kind of keeping control of that, and oh, this is a fun one. Here we go, over towards the west it heads. Everyone, get in your cars, get driving, get those compounds on that western side, on that western coast, and try and stay safe.
Now, if Chiefs were smart about this, in Gatka, they have the level 3 building. They could have used this. It really is. They could have used that and go up on top and maybe try and pick up a couple of vehicles on the way by, because this is where everyone just starts to absolutely just blaze it into the circle. If we can get an overview of the map, you will see on the eastern bank, everybody is about to crash into one another. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams. 5 teams are just going to come pouring through Gatka.
There's so many.
This is what I mean. The Chiefs could have a field day here. They really could. If they have the elevated line of sight, they could be smashing these cars.
And I love those tracer flags. Give me them every day of the week. Whoever made that change, you're my new favorite human being. McCoy's had enough of that. He's actually in the little bit of a river there. The little dip Pino, though, spots out one. The fire comes in, and the CIS team, or should I say player, not in a good spot here. He struggled last time. And everyone's scrambling for cover. They're scrambling for any position here. There's a lot of room to be moving around here in these fields, and you're seeing teams getting picked up, and actually a couple of them going down early.
Yeah, that's 2 from AHQ, K3 and Winner, which would suggest the bike has gone flying. Winner's been finished off. Crest Gaming come in. Cheyenne says thank you very much for the 15 points. Looking for further afield. 76 players alive, but here comes what I was talking about before. Profit onto Grizzly, the DP. K3 gets finished off again. Windcrest, another 15 points for them. Like how the, attention to detail, just lining all those vehicles up in a very nice little row. Adding one in a bush.
And there's the previous winners of round 1. This time still sitting pretty in a decent enough position. I'm hearing an M24 in the background, though.
That's another steal from Crest Gaming. Honor was knocked by another team. Another 15 points in their bags. I think that's 35 in total.
Look at these shots God is going for. God V is taking shots so far across the map. But Keen there sprays in. Doesn't get much of a connection off the back of it. But again, trying to maybe control position. Keep players away, retain this dip. Because it's a dangerous one. You've got a couple of lines of sight that you have to be worried about. Specifically that hill.
Yeah, when you've got Genji Black chilling on top of it and holding the ground. Fair play to him. They've still got a couple of players from CGX also lurking in the mist, so they need to be careful. The Chiefs will have line of sight on them from those Gatka buildings. There is a tree line that's going to at least give them some cover. Echo decides to run his teammate over, so not a great play for him. Let's get him up. Moss is dead as well from the start. That vehicle's not really...
We normally see it, doing a lot of damage. Like the amount of tournaments we'll watch where vehicles, they just run each other over and it's like, oh no, but they're doing okay. So we are seeing Gold making their way in as well, taking their time, making their way through. A little bit of damage from the blue coming through for themselves. But I like the rotation route they've taken. They've gone on the western coast, and I actually really like that from them. Again, if you have watched games back, for example, you'll be looking at the fact that the Na'Vi play down in this area, but you don't know where they are. But you could have a lot of freedom on this coast.
Can I ask you, do you think there's going to be any pressure on these guys coming in as one of the best teams in the world?
Absolutely. There's pressure on every single team here, specifically the ones who come in that top quote-unquote position that everyone's looking at. Now, Liquid doing a late circle position, not unheard of. If you watch the European qualifiers to get to this spot, they occasionally, they're very up and down on this. They'll take longer rotation routes for safety, and I don't mind that at all. You take a bit of blue from the damage, but you put yourself in a good position going forward.
You've got to remember where they've gone. They've gone pretty much all the way up north and then come back down. They've swung this wide, knowing that everything is going to be clear now.
Yep.
WTSG will have moved away. Genji Black will have moved away. They need to now be careful of where WTSG is set up, though. WTSG is posted just beyond Hospital, in kind of the crossroads. They've actually been picked off, to be fair, as we speak about this. You can see it now on the map. Liquid have arrived. Refund still on the top. Circle pushes in.
Nice and central.
And look at that. Gatka was the place to stay, Chiefs. However, you've given it up and Savage will take over. Myth is still in there, 4AM are in there, TG on the outskirts, and I think it's Crest Gaming, the last people on the right-hand side.
Now, looking at the likes of OMG, for example, they're in a nice spot. 4AM control a big bit of ground here as well. You can see Balak looking for that one. He could be picked up here. Keep your eyes on that map in case he gets caught. Now, Gold, they took a long way in, but now they're going to be under some fire. They've spread out the players, but they're not taking too many shots. Everyone's just going to try and hunker down. They're just try and keep the storm away, put up any sort of wall they can to deny anyone coming through. So you're looking at any team that's got good, hard positioning, and this is not good or, decent positioning right now. Voxic could have seen everything here. He's going to back away. Texas isn't far off though either. So these guys might have been just trying to scout out, spot out what's available, and they've seen enough. They're not having that. Na'Vi, take it.
Yeah, watching that one down, called a little bit earlier on. It were a bit of an accidental meeting, so to speak. The Knights are going to obviously eject from that one simply because they lost Kremis earlier on. They're already tanked up. I mean, look at his gear, budget helmet on the back, UMP on the front. It's not massively great. I mean, you can still take a fight. Na'Vi, on the other hand, I have seen them go for a crate. So one of those Na'Vi players is tanked up in level 3s and does have a big boy gun. What that big boy gun is, I do not know. You'll hear it if it kicks up in the background. Meanwhile, Miraku, top feed, takes out Peanut. The knock is there. Finally, standing the ground for all this time, Genji Black. Grammatic knocks and finish Ares. They do find the Crest Gaming player that has been lurking on this mountainside. Now, they won't know if there's any more. So the alert gauges are on. Oh, boys, there could be a team here, and that's why they're so fixated and focused directly in front of them. They have to be careful that nobody creeps up behind on the mountain. You wouldn't have thought they would do because of where they are. They can see everything. But they're going to be fixated now on the opposing side.
They'll be definitely keeping that in mind. We are seeing a couple of teams on the eastern side working their way forward, but right now Na'Vi creeping their way in on the southern position, taking control of that hill. Now, they don't get too many eyes on if they don't have some real range to start poking at some of the other teams. There is a dropout for grabs, but it is right in the middle of no man's land. That is not where you want to be found right now. And CGX, who had a pretty decent first game, I'm pretty sure they were within the top 3. So, I mean, they're doing pretty well for themselves. So they could find a bit of positioning here if they can stay in a good spot. They've taken the kind of, I guess it's radio hill, as they like to call it. A couple of other teams will mess with that. But for now, they control the entirety of those fields. But no team is currently being breached or pushed. I guess if you want to look at it, the western side will have a lot of teams kind of, I guess, posturing, vying for a bit of, control and positioning. Liquid could be caught out if they're not too careful of what's behind them. There's a lot of Car 98s there I'm seeing, so they need to be on a bit of a swivel. If Scoom's not aware of this, he could be caught in the back line, so keep your eyes on that kill feed. They've turned around, they do have connections going on towards the north side, so Refund could be in a bit of a predicament now. Not only do they have the blue on their back, but they've got Liquid in front of them.
Genji, no one's a foot up top.
And this is the team we're talking about. They do have range, Rich. This could still be a fight, but there's a time limit on what they can do. They're being slowly but surely pushed forward, but they do have vehicles.
Phase 4 circle won't kill you, but it's going to do so much damage. You need to make sure you stimmed up, which you can already see. Funky M, the yellow bar on there. They've Got to move now. They can't lay about for too long.
Look at who's watching.
They're actually
Black from up top are keeping tabs on all of this. The moment the Liquid stepped out or tried to do anything, Liquid could be pinched here. WTSG are actually keeping tabs on this too. Now the next circle comes through, that hits a little bit further towards the south and drastically towards the west. Every team in the east is getting a move on now. Liquid might be in trouble here, but it's actually the CIS region clashing horns.
Ebat.
That was a shot. Hold on.
Yeah, that was Turtle with the 24. Fast rail just smack. How fast that?
500, 600 meters roughly.
Wonderful. Love it. Absolutely love it. North America, CIS and CIS. Jeems.
Oh, Jeems, keep that biker going. He does
Vard
just to get picked up in the end by Vard. That did find him. Jeems is going to be suffering off the back of that. You can see the control on these shots coming through, and the confirmation is theirs. Now Liquid continue to run the gauntlet. Will there be another victim for Vard, or will they make it through? But oh, look at this. There's so much going on. Made in Thailand. Can they stay alive? Surely not. They just got completely leapt upon, but actually, Svit turns it around.
Morphi's on the top of the hill. He needs to try and help his teammates out here. Savage also have eyes on this one. Look at that kill feed. Bodies hitting the floor, left, right, and center. They've only lost one. Myth have done quite well here not to have been penalized any more than they have. Eba from Mominu. Mominu onto Puka Molodoy. 2 players there, and Navi Drin is a Molodoy answer back at least. Gaxi onto Meow. Try and keep up with this one. Savage takes out Mortify. We've just lost 3 teams back to back to back in the last 10 seconds. This is what happens when so many people stay alive in TPP and these circles just pretty much force
Look at WTSG, Rich. They are hungry for this. They know it's Liquid as well. They want this one. Look at Larson. Look at these guys. Look at Miraku. Vard is finding more victims, but he's out of ammo.
Feels bad, man.
What has he got? He's got a bit of 5-5 there, so he's okay. He's still got something to work with, but he's got to move as well. He was sticking around for quite some time. Hopefully he's got a car or something to work forward. He's fine. He's got a little bit of a bike to jump on. But Gaxi and the other side for his team are well up for this fight, but they can't overextend. They cannot tunnel vision here. There's plenty of teams looking hungry, and one they haven't spoken about who's been a little bit under the radar so far is Ghost in this round at least. They're still sitting pretty. They're okay, but someone who might not be is Wick. Oh, Ragnar! How is he alive?
I have no idea, but 2 of them again. Third-party system. Myth with the 24. What is happening here? Savage took the grenade. He took out his own teammate, but he also at least managed to finish off 2 others before he did.
What is going on? This is a massacre over here, and there's fire from afar. If it couldn't get any worse, you're going to see the likes of Chiefs trying to steal a couple of kills here or there. Get something in their pocket for the trouble that's going on. Timid, living up to the name, trying to cower away behind the smoke and hope for the best. Maybe he can get saved from this, but for now, Wick is just trying to catch his breath. What on earth just happened?
I have no idea how he's alive, but fair play to the man. He's trying to edge his way out the window. You can just see the idea that he's going to get from it. Windcrest again. Pure Boy takes out OHM. Colorist, he's down. Dead. 17 teams up, 54 alive. Ryu, where's your helmet at, my friend? That's been shaved clean off, and all of a sudden, Genji Black, Lauren, they're stepping up and they're moving into WTSG. We heard about this Southern Georgia Paul fight that might happen. Will we finally see it?
Yep, Urinroot there, you can see that SKS doesn't have too many bullets left on that, but he's keeping WTSG under pressure. Now the revive's going to come in. They're okay. They can recover from this, but now they're put on notice. They can't just be tunnel visioning these fights. There's a lot of players with a lot of eyes keeping tabs on this. Urinroot again taps away nicely, but hey, the bars on the windows, we all know what it's like to fight against those as well as the opponents. But for now, WTSG have more things to worry about. CGXX, you might have just seen this. He might have to push on this one. He might have to go. He's just been caught in the heels as well. The nades come through, and they're good for one. Miraku's gone down.
They've still got them in the hand. Are they just going to absolutely... I love these trajectories. It's so amazing to watch. We can actually get information of where they're going to be. Now remember, these did get a big upgrade, did the grenades. 3.5 meter kill box. They could just keep tapping away.
Oh, this could be a field job. This could be in the fields.
Samty's down. How many Liquid got alive? Is it 2
I think
or
it's
what?
2. I think 1 left now with possibly Ibby, just the last man standing here. I don't know how many others he has left, and they're all kind of congregating around this hill, and we saw it very early on that CGX had claimed this. This was their stronghold. Now they have lost out on 2. That's an issue, though.
What's a bigger issue is the utility they're working with. I'm seeing no chest, I'm seeing no helmet. I'm seeing Gaxi, who's literally just
Gaxi.
begging.
4 AM. We know these guys are aggressive, Rich. We know how much they want to go for these fights. Oh, the nade just about doesn't make it through. Gaxi! He gets down 1, though. He's keeping himself alive in this, but the push comes through. And what? He goes down! How is Gaxi alive here? How on earth did that happen? Vard saved him? Where on earth is Vard in all of this? Gaxi is looking like the tastiest bit of bait I've ever seen right now, and
Go
God
on,
V
son.
might be a little bit worried here because Gaxi, he fancies doing it back to the nade. It was so close, but Gaxi wants to confirm this kill. He wants those points, and he wants to ensure these guys do not pester them any longer.
What a fantastic effort.
Oh God, Gaxi's on the run, so is God V. That is going to be in the kill feed any second now. One of those two is going to be meeting up here. OMG keeping Ghost under pressure, not allowing them to rest on their laurels in the field. There's still 17 teams alive. There's still 50 players.
Even if Gaxi doesn't survive, how much damage did he just do to 4AM? They lost so many players.
Look at that Southern Crunch coming in as well. They are fighting for these compounds, and there's a nice little defilade, a little bit of a lip on this hill to work from. And now OMG, let's see what you've got. Your aggression thoroughly impressed me before, but right now the nades! Silent not being quiet about that at all. That is going to be ringing through the ears of the other side. Crest Gaming, Windfall are going to be struggling off the back. They need to find a reply, and they need to find it now.
I think 4AM have just gone down. I just saw one of the players from OMG find them. Talk about commitment. CGW here tried to bail on the vehicles, and they've been punished. They've lost one, and all of a sudden Voxy says, well, you know what, we can hear some bullets
that's a
going
shot.
off here. I'll take your helmet while you're trying to res him. Not a problem. Commits with a kill. 15 points in the bag.
Knights doing very well for themselves here. Voxic, he even fancies some more. He's spotted out another player. Why not make it harder for Ghost? That's a big name to claim. Great to show you how accurate these guys can be, even at such range. 8 times just sitting up on that mini, but at the moment, we do see that Honey Badgers have gone down. Wick's been found. These guys have been struggling a little bit here, but actually that's an 8.5 coming through. That just found 2-3 players possibly.
Yeah, Chiefs looking a little bit rough. They now have to go up against Made in Thailand, aka Myth, and they're getting aggressive on it. They fancy it. The walking wounded,
God.
3 down, 1 player left. Can they find that lone ranger? There's going to be 2 of them. Edge just got a shotgun. 686 in the bag. It's good up close and personal, but I don't think he'll get the time to do it.
He's healing. He still has to heal, Edge.
Oh, he's gone. 13th position. A little bit unfortunate. Got caught off guard from across the way. Genji Black have just been causing, like, so many people.
Ghost is eliminated. Ghost is done and out. That's huge. That was the winner of the first game, gone. Now the next shift comes in on the east. Let's look at who's in a good position here, Richard. Let's see who's holding those strongholds. Who's got their fortress up high? A couple of nades, though. WTSG, again, kept on notice. They are not getting... That one's looking a little bit worried for Miraku. Got to be careful. And they're going to be trying to build any sort of barrier between each other. They're trying to keep themselves at range. Now, the strongholds who will be in the back of their minds right now, it will be Na'Vi, good positioning. OMG, good positioning. CGW, not bad either. And Made in Thailand, holding good. Everyone else needs to move into this circle, and there is not much ground to be had here.
Lo and behold, who's stepping up? It's Genji Black. They've been a problem for so many teams so far. They'll hit the 2-2 split, 2 sit in the compound, U-Root and Sexy Pig. The aggressors will move up. Smokes are going to go down, so at least they'll take something to work with, maybe allow their teammates to push in. They'll keep the vehicle there. We'll give them, you know, a couple of little walls that they can at least put up. The teammates will follow through. Ibi from Liquid is still alive on the back foot. WTSG, CGX. This could be the big battle for this hill.
Crawling their way forward through the trenches. WTSG slowly but surely working their way forward.
They don't have
On the other
info.
side, they're going to be going for the breach. Surely they're trying to use that third-person perspective. They're trying to linger over the top, catch a glimpse, and it looks like Rio might have just caught one, but maybe he doesn't expect Miraku. No, he doesn't. That is a kill, and it's a confirmed one. It looks as though WTSG are working their way forward, and on the run, CGX trying to make a dash for it. They cannot get away. They are found in the end, and it will be WTSG to stay alive and push their way forward.
Genji Gold have just took out Knights. They've gone on the opposing side as well. They're down in 10th place. So both Gold and Black are inside this circle.
Genji
They're in
Black,
the fields.
they could turn it on WTSG here.
Really
They aren't
good.
out of the trouble at all. They're still in real issues. Larson, he can't get away from this too easy. There's pressure coming in everywhere. Genji Black are not letting anyone get out for free.
Look at how much of a swivel the heads are on.
Look at this flank as well. Vard has to be so cautious. He is prone down. This is third person. He's using the cover well. But this player's working their way forward, and Ibi on the hunt, on the crawl, on the prowl. He's spotting all of this happen. Unroot has found Vard. The pressure builds towards them. It looks like WTSG might be done for here. They still have Miraku alive, but that's about it.
Simpson from the opposing organization. Gold on Black here, tanks him up. Sexy Pig hits the deck. He is staying alive here. Yoon's going to put down the smoke, so at least there's some kind of cover for now. But there ain't going to be no respite from this. Everyone's still moving. 9 teams up, 23 in this circle. It's going to be brutal.
Oh, this is a little scary. This makes you sick to your stomach to watch this one unfold. He unleashes, but he can't get it done in time. It's traded. That's only a 1-for-1. That is nowhere near good enough right now. And Mayhem kicks off.
His teammate tries to help, but unfortunately they're going to be nailed as well. 9th place there for AHQ. Ibi, what can he do? He's been spotted. Eska sees him. See you later, Liquid. 8th place for you.
Na'Vi's still in such a stronghold, and they still are. Let's look at that new circle. You've got 2 teams, and that's it. Currently sat pretty. One of the 2 teams towards the south are the only ones who can claim this, and maybe one can make it through the killing fields right now. Eska has been playing very well for his team. We know that he can be a big player, but Miraku is doing just the same for WTSG, or what's left of them. He's the only man standing for these guys. They got torn to shreds trying to take that radio hill. And oh my god, have been holding on to this for a very long time here.
I can't believe this fight's still going on. This is the one where we saw the grenade earlier on, and nothing else has moved. It's still been this 2 versus 4 engagement. Trying to clip them through the back lines. Na'Vi have got them pinned in, though.
Wait, Silent! Look at this play. He's going on his own. He sees one, but does he expect the second? He doesn't see the second just yet. Mr. Yoppie on the side. He does find him, but there's OMG coming round with the support. Great play from OMG. Aggressive as you'd expect. That's what you want from that team. But can they stay alive? Can they then take on Na'Vi and expect every other team who's coming their way?
This is how it breaks down, though. What is Gold going to do? Genji Black
Na'Vi?
has to... Yes, Na'Vi is sat on this edge there. They could get boxed in by 2 teams. Genji Gold just rushing in. They fancy a go on this. Drainage goes down. Another one follows. They've only lost Eska so far. They want a piece of this. They're getting stuck in. Ilame's all tanked up at the back as well, and so is Molodoy. This has just gone from bad to worst. All of a sudden, OMG is stepping up to the plate.
Oh my god, Na'Vi are in trouble. They are sweating bullets right now. You can see the pressure. OMG are just eyeing this up. And the nade! What? He blew up the car!
He hit the car.
That's so smart from the remaining Na'Vi players. Ilame does get found in the end. Molodoy is the only man standing, and not for long. Surely that's Na'Vi done for now. OMG still stand with 4 players. Now let's look who remains. We've got 3 teams standing. OMG in a good spot. We have Genji Black, and somehow Miraku is in the back lines.
He needs to just hold on for his dear life and try and get as many points as he can in placement. If he can make it into second and hopefully these 2 teams just batter the hell out of each other, then great plays for WTSG. Genji Black, 5 kills in the bag. They're inside the circle, but so are OMG on the opposing side. 2 split.
But they're not. The thing is, they're not in the greatest of positions either. If you look at OMG, they can get this catchy. Miraku decides to give it up, take the points away from them. Now, OMG need to move forward. There's a little bit of a deflate they can move to, but right now, you've got to look at the positions that are currently being had. OMG are being more proactive in this. They're pushing into better positions, whereas Genji Black are resting a little bit on where they are. Now they're going to split into a nice old triangle. They're going to try and hold multiple angles. OMG are sending the hit squad. You've got a 2-man squad heading out towards that eastern side. They're going to try and get the flank, get an angle, and they might have just done that. Fire comes in, but it's being returned. One gets knocked, but they get one back. OMG are laying down fire everywhere they can, and they're actually doing pretty well for themselves right now. We're going to see Genji Black struggling. They're down to 2 players here. Yunroot's still alive.
He's trying to get an angle. You can see him.
Grammatic's done for. This is OMG playing a brilliant game. They played this angle excellently. The circle is right in the middle of everything. No one's got an advantage. This is going to be pure firepower, pure brain power, and pure shots coming through. In the car they go. Genji Black are making a mad run for this. They're going to try and do what they can, but OMG still hold the line. It's down to 1.
Yes, Esther.
Esther, the last man standing in a 1v4. They are pushing on that position. OMG want this, and they want it bad, and they're not going to stop before they have it. Esther is there. He heals up. He's desperate to try and hold on here, but he knows step by step they're getting closer. And we said about the aggression. We said what they wanted to do. The nade, it's good. Oh, he gets
my
one.
God, what?
Esther, what a nade! But can he do any more? Surely not. Surely. This is all on OMG.
Another one knocked on the other backline.
But wait.
It was a 4 versus 1, and now it's a 1 versus 2.
There is still potential here. What can he do in this situation? Can he somehow pull this out? The odds are against him by no small feat. He's going to confirm the kill if he can. He's going to make it worse. He does not quite get the kill. We'll be seeing them now go down. It is down to a 1v2. Silent and Lion hold the circle. They have it. Esther needs to move. He's got a flash in hand. He's going to make the last stand. He's going to make the mad run through now. 4-1-6. He tries as he can, but it's OMG to pick up game number 2.
And the crowd goes wild. China's favorites secure a win in round number 2, and they do it with proficiency. They did have 4 remaining. Unfortunately, it was taken down to 2. Good work from Genji Black to at least secure 30 extra points at the end in a 1 versus 4. That's banging to at least claim some extra points.
Absolutely.
I feel so sorry for Na'Vi. They had crate gear. They were sat for so long. But the fight between Gold and OMG, it just collapsed on them and they were just wiped from the face of the planet. All right, 4th place is good, but it could have been so much better.
That is unbelievable work. I'm so happy that we got to see that OMG and Genji Black fight. That was what we wanted from the aggression. We wanted to see good splits. That 2-2 split at the end that they went for from OMG, even though you saw that at one point Genji Black had a good position in that, they had that kind of triangle 3-man split to try and retain as much angle dominance over the circle while they had it. OMG straight up knew what the plan was, and there's no second guessing. And that sort of mentality is phenomenal from this side.
We do see both Korean teams in the top 5 as well. Fantastic work so far, but we're going to take a very short break. When we return, we'll jump down to the desk and we'll get on with game number 3. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.
Oh, Knights! How is he alive? How has he run this gauntlet? Oh, the buggy flips! Oh my god, he's... Oh! And now OMG, let's see what you've got. Your aggression thoroughly impressed me before, but right now the knaves! The last stand, he's gonna make the mad run through now. 4-1-6, he tries as he can!